If you've ever completed any home project, you know how stressful the process can become. So, no one can blame one homeowner from Turkey for wanting the makeover process to end as quickly as possible. Even worse, since the man had little money, he needed to complete the project himself, which included breaking down a wall. At first, as the homeowner started taking down the wall, everything seemed fine. However, as he continued, the man found an abandoned opening behind one wall. Of course, at the time, he had no idea it would lead him to one of the most incredible historical discoveries of all time. Looking at the house below, you might just ask yourself, why on earth would anyone ever want to remodel it? On the outside, at least, the home seems like a Turkish dream. However, inside was another story. The house had remained in the homeowner's family for generations, and the interior had fallen into disrepair, unable to hire a professional contractor to restore his home. The homeowner figured he could do all the work by himself. In the end, the man decided to start from the ground up, in the basement, taking a sledgehammer. He knocked down a few walls, slamming into wood and stone. The homeowner worked tirelessly for hours, which eventually slipped into days. After what felt like an eternity of cracking through layer after layer of hard stone, the homeowner's sledgehammer went right through into emptiness on the other side. As it did, the stone wall in front of him crumbled, and the man noticed the debris fell through the other side. It seemed the cavity on the other side of the wall was rather large. As the man continued hammering into the wall, more and more of the stone wall crumbled away. Soon his suspicions were confirmed. There was something behind the wall, shocked to his core. He instantly took a closer look. Unfortunately, it was far too dark to see what lay beyond, so he ran upstairs to grab a flashlight, his heart racing. What started out as a simple home renovation quickly turned into an incredibly exciting experience for the homeowner. Using a flashlight, he could just make out a tunnel of sorts extending beyond and beneath his house. Breathless from amazement, the man grabbed his sledgehammer and began beating away at the wall once more. As he tore down more wall, the homeowner started to realize that the opening was much bigger and much deeper than they initially believed. Meanwhile, the air coming out of the tunnel, though stale, still felt cool. When he finally made a human-sized opening, the homeowner put down his tools and let his curiosity get the best of him. Flashlight in hand, the man entered the pitch-dark chamber in Turkey's Cappadocia region, where the house is located. There are many volcanic underground caverns. So, when our homeowner finally reached the supposed end of the opening, at first, he believed he had simply discovered one such cave. However, he was about to find so much more. After a short search, the man found a cramped, narrow passageway and continued his search. Later, he said he felt absolutely terrified as many venomous snakes. Spiders and scorpions are common in the area. While he did not find any creepy crawlies, that did not make the dark tunnel any less scary. Going even deeper into the earth, the homeowner felt amazed by how far the tunnels went behind the walls. Meanwhile, there wasn't a single sound in the chamber except for this breathing. and the heartbeat of his footsteps, a sudden echo, a falling stone, made him jump in the air in fright. As the man continued to explore, he could not help but think of horror movies. Pressing on in the dark, the homeowner went deeper and deeper into the labyrinth of tunnels and caverns. One hand on the wall at all times. The tunnels were an endless maze of smooth stone that felt like they had been there for centuries. As the man continued his exploration, he started wondering how much farther to go before turning back. Of course, it would only take one slip to injure him and leave him stranded in the dark. Meanwhile, with all the crossroads in the tunnel, it would take him a while to find his way back. As he walked, the man started to worry about the cave becoming a tomb instead. Still, despite the danger, his curiosity carried him on. Just when he thought about turning back, the man discovered stairs and an archway. The meant that lava had not created the caverns. The more the homeowner saw, the more he convinced himself that he had discovered something man-made. As he continued his exploration, the man began to find more evidence of the tunnels being man-made. For instance, the layout felt intentional, but if humans had indeed created the cave, that only produced more questions. Who built them and why? And perhaps most importantly, why did they hide them? The homeowner continued to fumble his way through the tunnels, finding long shafts that carved deep into the mountain behind his home. Soon, the tunnels started opening up into larger and larger openings. Shining his flashlight around, the man realized that they were in fact rooms. Some even seemed to have themes and specific designs. Looking around one room, the man discovered he was standing in what once must have been living quarters. What he initially believed were caverns turned out to be smooth, carved hallways that led to chambers designed to accommodate a family, almost like an ancient apartment complex of sorts. Soon enough, our homeowner found more rooms. He stumbled upon ones that seemed like storage facilities, tombs, temples, all easily thousands of years old. While man wanted to continue exploring for hours and hours, he knew he needed to return. So, finally telling his curiosity no, the man started the long journey back to his basement wall. However, he had no idea what he would do when he returned to the surface. Believe it or not, it took the man many hours to finally find his way back to his basement walls, as he would later discover. Whoever had built the tunnels had purposely designed like them a maze, so it's really quite a miracle that an official explorer didn't get lost or hurt on his way back home. Thankfully. On his safe journey home, the man had plenty of time to think about what he wanted to do about his discovery. In the end, the homeowner knew that he could not keep the find to himself, and that historians need to know. Back on Earth's surface, he notified Turkish authorities. Still, the authorities didn't initially realize the man had stumbled across one of the biggest archaeological finds in history. At first, the authorities did not take the man's claim too seriously, waiting a few days before sending someone. However, as soon as archaeologists arrived, they knew that they had something incredible on their hands. In fact, some of them already felt sure of the find, and their hypothesis was quickly proven correct. After further investigation and research, archaeologists concluded that the homeowner had discovered the lost subterranean city of Derinkuyu, Amazingly, he had found a city that many scholars believed a legend. Like the sunken city of Atlantis or El Dorado, the South American city of gold, but as it turns out, one man had found the 3,000-year-old city behind his wall. Yet many questions still remained. While historians can agree that Derinkuyu was built around 700 before century, they cannot agree on who made this labyrinthine network of tunnels. However, the Turkish Department of Culture recently offered an interesting theory. They believe the Phrygians, who initially came from the southern Balkans, built Derinkuyu. You might know them from their famous king. King was Midas, who in Greek mythology turned everything he touched to gold. Once archaeologists in Turkey learned about the discovery of the underground city, many from around the world flocked to the location, hoping to learn more. Soon enough, their findings were flying out of the tunnels. While the Derinkuyu construction began in 700 before century, archaeologists believe it started growing rapidly 1,000 years later. Believe it or not, at its height, the city supported over 20,000 people. Meanwhile, as the excavations continued, archaeologists also found that the caverns ran 18 stories deep into the earth. That makes Derinkuyu the largest underground city ever, stretching a whopping 200 feet underground. It's amazing the precise engineering the creators used. If you can't wrap your head around 200 feet underground, just imagine as if the Statue of Liberty was buried underground with only her shoulders and head sticking out. That's right, just like Planet of the Apes. As you might imagine, researchers felt determined to find out as much as they could about the ancient city of Derinkuyu. Soon enough, they had started creating a solid timeline of the types of people that lived in the underground city. However, as they continued their investigation, the archaeologists found conflicting artifacts from many ancient peoples, including the Hittites, the Macedonians, and the Phrygians. Eventually, the historians realized that the city was in use for more than 5,000 years. This means, as time went on, multiple civilizations called Derinkuyu home at different times. Throughout history, this included Persians, Macedonians, Greeks, Armenians, and other ancient empires, and the revelations continued coming. As the news of Derinkuyu emerged in the media, many around the world wondered, why build an underground city? Well, as you can probably imagine, living in the ancient world wasn't easy. If disease and famine didn't get you, then warfare was often right around the corner. In Derinkuyu's time, invasions were incredibly common, making finding shelter from invaders a top priority. So, an underground city provided refuge and protection against the cruel outside world. While it might look like a cave, Derinkuyu feels more like an underground palace inside. Researchers found multiple kitchens, large bedchambers, burial chambers, and even a worship temple. The underground city of Derinkuyu had an amazing 18 levels. That's better than most apartment buildings. Derinkuyu only becomes more incredible when you realize that builders accomplished the feat with nothing but firelight. It must have taken hundreds of years, and many archaeologists still cannot agree on when construction truly stopped. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.